book. It's gonna be May.
By which we mean there are some games coming out in May. Here are some of them. The self-imposed emotional torment continues in the third chapter of Life is Strange 2. Brothers Sean and Daniel continue to cheese it across the states while avoiding the cops and presumably getting into even more telekinetic scrapes. The thing is, when I said that description, I think it made it sound like quite fun and exciting.
Is it just sad?
It's just so sad. Yeah,
I don't know much about the Life is Strange games other than the fact that it will just draw all of the tears and fluid from your face as you're just like,
It's like it's a desiccator of a game. Yeah.
Just shriveled up raisin by the end of it. All the tears have gone.
Bay over bay. Life is Strange 2 has been very hard-hitting so far. I'm very, very excited for episode 3. Well, I would say that episode 2, it didn't quite tick all the boxes for me. It felt a little bit short and it felt like it was missing a few big action beats. So I'll be looking for maybe a bit more intrigue, a bit more excitement in episode 3. I've got my fingers crossed. The other slightly odd thing about this, about the Life is Strange games, is that there are all these chapters that are released episodically, but not really regularly, and there's quite a lot of time between each one. And when each one is only maybe like 2.5 or 3.5 hours to complete, that's quite a long time between it. So, you have to really work quite hard to remind yourself what's happening and who everyone is and stuff like that. So I wish they were coming out a bit closer together. I know that that's probably because they're frantically trying to make episode 3 and then episode 4. But part of me wonders if maybe if they were all released as sort of maybe one a week or fortnightly. I don't know. Maybe I'd be, maybe just 1 month of just pure emotional carnage.
Colour-filled first-person shooter Rage 2 comes to PC and consoles mid-month. Set in a post-apocalyptic world hit by an asteroid full of dangerous mutants and people out to murder you, you'll have lots of powers and abilities to play with. Not only will it have high-octane shooting by Doom creators id Software, but open-world exploration from Just Cause creators Avalanche Studios.
We've both played this, haven't we?
Yeah. It feels good. It feels like a Doom game.
Yeah.
You're playing all the shooty, bang, bang, bang. I've not played any of the open-world stuff.
No, me either. I've only played the shooty, bang, bang stuff, which feels exactly right. It's one of those games that's all in the feeling. I think if you're watching footage of it, you might not. It's the satisfying nature of just the gliding sort of shooting and quickness.
It's the movement is everything.
They know how to make a game that just feels great to play. But there is going to have to be more to it than just the smooth gliding and shooting. Yeah. And that's the big question mark, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to see, Just Cause is very good at open world, and will it transfer over to this? Will it translate to a post-apocalyptic one with cars? Because Just Cause is you don't need cars, you've got a wingsuit. But in this, it's more about cast. Now the cast is going to be as good.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of things to get right. Yes. So fingers crossed, the stars align.
Also, you get the wing thing if you pre-order it from game, which is really funny.
Oh, the foam thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't. I'm not sure it's a pay extra situation. Straight in the bin. Whips and chains at the ready because it's time for Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Why, what did you think we were talking about? This bundle of retro Castlevanias, or Castlevania, brings the following 8 titles to consoles and PC this month. Castlevania, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania Bloodlines, Kid Dracula, Castlevania The Adventure, and Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. You get a lot of Castlevania for your money here, and it's I do think that the price is sort of reasonable. It's we don't know exactly what the UK price will be, but I think it's $19, $20-ish. But it is the really, really old ones. Yeah. So there are a couple of when I think of Castlevania, those 2D Castlevanias, I think of Symphony of the Night, probably the biggest one from the sort of mid-late 90s. That's not in there, it's earlier stuff than that. There's another one that's missing, which is a big favourite among fans, which is Rondo of Blood. Yeah, that's not in there. That's not in there either, but...
A whole rondo.
A whole rondo of blood. I couldn't eat a whole rondo of blood. No, just a sippy cup. What are we talking about? Yeah, I think what this really teaches me is that there are a lot of Castlevania games you kind of forget about. How are there 2 Castlevania 2s? Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge and Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. 2 Castlevania 2s.
2 Castlevania...
Yeah. But I think if you're a completionist, if you love Castlevania, some of these games were like on the Game Boy originally.
Yes.
So I do think that's just kind of a cool opportunity to play them like on your TV screen. I quite like that idea.
And some of them are kind of like notoriously tricky.
Yeah, so if you fancy a challenge, or if you're playing Sekiro and you fancy a break, then try these.
Rodent-filled survival puzzle adventure A Plague Tale: Innocence follows two siblings as they try not to get eaten by thousands of rats during the Black Death and the 100 Years' War.
This game looks grim.
Yeah.
So grim.
Yeah.
It's like The Last of Us, but with thousands of rats.
There's a bit in like the Gamescom demo that I was watching that I actually went, because this horse just explodes with
Oh, you showed me that. The horse that bursts with rats.
Because I wanted Luke to know why I went in a cafe.
You know, you have to ask yourself, if the game's coming out in 2019, yes, it's good, but does it have a bit where a horse bursts with rats?
Oh no! The rats! Keep away from them!
So how does it work? How's the game
Basically, the rats are repelled by fire, so there's a lot of puzzling where you have to work routes through very dark areas that have huge rat infestations. You also have to deal with guards, and you can deal with them by they're walking around with lamps, and your main character, she's a sling thrower, and she's very accurate. So she slings their lamp so that it goes out, and then rats just go.
It's grim. It's a cool idea though. I like the idea. Hopefully there's a really cool story to it.
Yes.
The setting sounds really fun. 100 Years War. I can't.
Fun.
Interesting. But it's so much fun. If there was one word I would choose, historians would use to describe the 100 Years War. Fun.
The demo looked absolutely stunning, and the rats looked terrifying. They're kind of, it's that kind of Dishonored thing where if they all swarm you, they're blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you just have to deal with them by being like. And there's a really horrible bit in the demo where your survival, you have to kind of push all these rats towards this guy who's trapped, and he's like, no, what are you doing? And you're
I don't see a problem.
But it's
You're protecting your sibling.
yeah.
Him.
No, please, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm sorry, this is the only way that I can get through.
Oh no, sorry. Oh no.
Oh, sorry.
What am I like? Oh, there go the rats down your gullet.
There's a lot of actual soldiers around, and the demo shows you in a battlefield, and you're having to use a trebuchet to get rats away from things.
The keeping the rats away mechanic seems cool. It's a interesting bit of history in which to set a game. So I have high hopes.
I like the non-combative adventure games where you just have to use your brain.
And use the rats. Rats become the weapon. Ah. Like any Sonic-themed kart racer, the May-released Team Sonic Racing is a conceptual nightmare because why would Sonic, the fastest thing alive, possibly need a car? If you can put this out of your mind, however, Team Sonic Racing does have some interesting ideas. You'll race as part of a team and can swap items or boost your teammates to get a winning number of points for your squad.
Pointless. It should be. Everyone else is in cars and he just runs.
Because it's to even the playing field, right? Because it's not everyone can be as fast as Sonic. But that doesn't mean Sonic. Everyone else should just be in a car that it brings you up to speed with Sonic, and Sonic should be able to. Because it's just not very green, apart from anything else.
Well, he's not very green. He's blue.
Yes, it really shows. His carbon emissions. This actually has some interesting ideas because you can win this game even if you aren't the first one across the finish line. It's this team-based thing, so you have to you have to race to get as many points as possible, and that involves teamwork, swapping items, giving each other boosts and stuff. So I think it's going for a few of those ideas from online team things, like a little bit Overwatch kind of teamwork thing, but with cars, I don't know.
And more than one car that you're all just standing around.
Yeah.
Don't touch my car.
Another thing that's kind of cool about this, if you are a Sonic fan, is that it's got music by Jen Sanui, whose band Crush 40, the kind of hard rocking, high octane, optimistic Sonic music. You know,
Yeah.
of the kind of early noughties, like the adventure battle games.
We're gonna do things with our friends, gonna save the
Follow
world, it's
me,
gonna be great.
set
Yeah,
me free.
na, 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 na.
Trust
We
me
can do
and
it.
we will escape from the city. So, you know, that is one of the...
Tears.
Yeah,
Actual
yeah,
tears.
yeah. Sonic has a checkered past, games-wise, but I do think that kind of like oeuvre of Sonic music, when it's by like this composer and his band, like I don't know, it's pretty rocking in a fairly like unashamed way. So it's got that going for it.
Set back in an alternate version of the 1890s, close to the sun sees you board the Helios, a huge scientific research ship out in international waters built by the world's richest man, Nikola Tesla. Playing as journalist Rose in this first-person horror adventure, you must find out what has happened after receiving a letter from your sister, a researcher on the ship. So it's kind of like Bioshock, but you're on a ship,
Yeah.
so it's Bioship.
Bioship. That's what we're calling it. Bioship.
But you don't have the powers, it's more of a... It's like Bioshock mixed with Amnesia.
Okay,
Whereas,
so yeah.
but you're like the outsider coming in, that's why you don't know where everything is, but if anything comes at you, you just have to go,
Yeah, but thematically very similar to Bioshock, because you've got this
he's built this very
thing out at sea.
19 like it's 1890, but it's still got that very Art Deco looking,
Oh,
but a
okay,
big
right.
Victorian.
Okay.
Everything's covered in gold, and it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
about they're out in international waters, so they can do what they want, and they don't have to adhere to any laws in their scientific research.
Okay.
And it's to do with time. It looks a little bit like the Titanic as well.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of got that thing. I've played an old Titanic adventure game, point and click thing years and years and years ago. And
Hard
it,
to
like,
win, surely.
Also, like had a very
Unless
like,
you're the iceberg.
but it reminded me of that. So it was very grand.
Yeah.
Beautiful boat, but then also it's very Bioshocky in that like there's bits falling apart and there's something to do. It's all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
Sure,
Because
yeah.
they were like, no one can stop us from trying anything. Let's do
Yeah.
ridiculous stuff. And you're like, no.
Alternate reality, Nikola Tesla. Let's see what you got.
Definitely an alternate current. Is he the one that likes the alternate current, or is it the other way around?
Don't know. Unfortunately for you and your joke, Ellen, I just don't know. The gleefully over-the-top Blood and Truth comes to PSVR in May, looking a bit like if the collected works of Jason Statham were somehow rendered in virtual reality. You play Elite Special Forces soldier Ryan Marks in this action thriller, whose job is to rescue his family through the medium of blowing things up and jumping off things. So this is from the people who made PlayStation VR Worlds, which was one of the first PSVR games, and it was kind of a collection of different little mini VR experiences you could do.
Right.
One of which was this thing called London Heist, which was a short, actiony story where you were in car chases, like firing a gun out the window, and in sort of old, like, Cockney boozers, you know,
What?
people. There's a bit where you could like smoke a big cigar in VR, and people would come up to you and be like, "Right, have you got the goods?" It was all, you're getting the tone.
You're
you
just
know?
holding like a white controller going,
yeah, I've got the goods. When are we moving them? And you know, it's that sort of thing. But they've basically made it into a much bigger, more blockbustery adventure. I actually am quite excited to play this because a lot of VR stuff is very clever and cerebral and sort of like, you know, pushes the boundary and makes you think about ideas around perception and stuff like that. But I don't think this is going to do that. I think this is going to be like, all right, have it. Like that. Yeah. So, you know, that's going to be good. So, Ellen, those are the May games.
Yes.
If you could play only one, which would you pick?
Well, may I pick more than one?
No.
Well, I'm intrigued about Rage 2.
Yeah.
I want to see how that plays. I think the two that I'm most excited about are the indie ones of A Plague Tale and Close to the Sun.
I'm really excited for Life is Strange 2, Episode 3, but I know it's going to be a hard time. So maybe because of that, I don't know why, but I am really kind of intrigued by Team Sonic Racing. I don't know why. You just looked at me as if I'm very unwell. Which you're going to see Melon's face close up like... Yeah. I don't know why. Look, who knows? Look, we're all chemically complicated human beings. Who knows why?
More so than others, maybe.
Who knows why we suddenly want to play the games we do.
Sonic Heroes!
Sonic, follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will escape from the city. Sonic Wave!
Which ones are you most excited for? Let us know in the comments down below. Hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell button if you haven't that already, and you can see all the videos from us in future.
Yep, see you next time.
Bye!
Sonic Wave!